Hey expats and travelers, I'm Kaylee with Expats Everywhere, and I'm at the multi-award winning 5-star real estate company Ideal Homes in Algarve to learn about mortgages in Portugal. Now my husband Josh has challenged me to talk to them, learn the process, and go through the steps, and then come back to you guys and in 60 seconds or less explain how the mortgages work here in Portugal. But to make things interesting, Josh and I have a bit of a bet going on. If I can't do this for you, then he gets to throw me in the pool in the winter at the place we're staying. But if I can do it, then tonight we get to go shopping and I get to use Josh's monthly clothing budget for myself. So tonight, I'm going shopping. If you're anything like me, then you know how the process works in the US or in your home country. But when you move abroad, it's all new and it's very confusing and unclear. Plus, when Josh starts talking about real estate, I kind of just tune out and I'm just like, okay, I'll sign the papers. But then when we sign, I have a million questions. So that's why today I'm actually going to learn the process. Let's go ahead and chat with the team and find out what the steps are.
Good afternoon, nice to meet you. My name is Joe, there's my business card.
Hi, Joe.
I make up part of the mortgage team here in Portugal. Okay, so what we do, we provide mortgages to clients like yourself that are looking at purchasing properties here in Portugal. We deal with currently 8 of the biggest banks in Portugal. All right. What we do is we get you mortgages from up to 80%, up to the year you turn 80, at an interest rate of less than 1% on a variable rate. Okay. So we've divided our mortgage process into 3 steps. Okay. Step 1. Stacy looks after step 2 and step 3. Okay. Step 1, what we do is we get a pre-approval.
Okay, so 2 things I want to just make sure. You said you can probably get pre-approval up to 80% for your mortgage?
Banks in Portugal will give you mortgages up to 80%.
Okay.
So I've got 2 banks that will give you 80% mortgage. The rest of the banks will give you 70% mortgages.
Okay.
Okay.
So it depends.
Yeah.
And it depends on who you can get to approve you.
I'll probably get you pre-approved by 80% of them.
Okay.
Pre-approved. All right. Then what we'll do is we'll sit down, you and I, and we'll discuss. This is what Bank 1 has given you. This is what Bank 2 has given you. This is what Bank 3 has offered you.
And then I choose as the client which
you
bank
as the
I want
client,
to go with.
yeah,
Okay.
of course. I mean, at the end of the day, we want you to be comfortable. You as the client is our main priority. I want you guys to be comfortable, not with only the property, but also financially. I need you guys to be comfortable knowing that so much is going to go into my mortgage on a monthly basis. Okay.
Right.
It's all about comfort and all about peace of mind.
Okay. And you said that someone up to 80 can get these.
Exactly.
Okay.
The same 2 banks that will give you up to 80% will give you a mortgage up to the year you turn 80.
Okay.
Okay. The other banks will give you 70% mortgage up to the year you turn 75.
Okay.
Okay. Interest rates at the moment in Portugal on a variable rate, like I said to you, anything less than 1%, 0.7, 0.8, that's average. That's what I'm getting at on a variable rate.
And that's really good, isn't it, compared to other countries?
You're not going to get that anywhere in the world.
Okay.
If you fix your rate, again, it depends on the duration. So if you fix it for 10 years, you're probably going to get about 1.5. 20 years, probably around 1.7, 1.8%. And 30 years, which is the maximum that you can fix your rate for, you're going to get about 1.95, 2.1%, somewhere around there. All right.
Okay, so I've heard these terms, variable and fixed.
Okay.
Can you explain those to me?
So variable rate, it means that your rates can increase, can decrease. Okay.
Isn't that kind of risky?
It is risky, depends on where you are.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. In the States, your interest rates do this. So they spike and they decrease a lot. In Europe, in particular, the rates are more of a steady flow. Okay. If I've done my homework correctly, and I look at the rates in Portugal, they haven't moved, whether up or down, for about 0.3, 0.4% variance. Okay. So over the last 3 years, what we are now sitting with 0.8%, 3 years ago was probably 1.1%. Okay, so it hasn't moved much in 3 years. Okay, where it doesn't spike like it. So it's more a consistency. Okay. What you start off now, after 30 years, that is exactly what you're going to be paying, the same amount. So you can say, I want a fixed rate for 20 years. You know that every month for 20 years, you're going to pay so much.
It's the exact, that doesn't change.
That doesn't change.
Okay.
That will give you peace of mind. Because especially if it's an investment property, Okay, you know, this is how much is going to come off my account for the mortgage. This is how much I'm receiving for rental. Okay, it's easier for you to control.
Right.
If you live here in Portugal, I suggest you do a variable rate.
Okay.
Okay, because the property is not paying itself off. If it's an investment, you are living in there, so you have to pay. So obviously try and get you the lowest interest rate possible. Okay.
Do you get better deals doing variable versus fixed, like with the banks?
The deals that we obtain from the banks are not that. Okay. The deals are financially.
Okay.
So if I can get you a mortgage of $1 million, all right, I'm going to get a lower interest rate than if you get a mortgage of 200,000.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's where the banks make the money. I mean, let's be
Sure.
fair. The banks need to live and need to survive as well.
Yeah.
So that's how they make their money.
Okay.
If you ask for a variable rate for 10 years, okay, and you ask for a variable rate for 20 years, that is going to make a big difference as well. Because what I get for 10 years is going to be a lot higher. Not a lot higher. When I say a lot, it's 0.1, 0.2%.
Okay.
It
So
sounds
higher.
like it sounds nothing, but to me it's a lot because we're dealing with 0.7, 0.8. So if you do a 10-year mortgage and a 20-year mortgage, the 20-year mortgage rate is going to be a lot lower.
Okay.
Because now the banks have got 20 years to make money off you.
So they're looking to lock you in for longer and for more money.
And more money.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
So my aim as a mortgage broker for you is to get you the highest amount possible, the lowest interest rate. I'm obviously going to push for the 0.7s,
Right.
0.8s. I mean, that's aim number 2. Aim number 3 is to get over the longest period. For the pre-approval, we have an inquiry form.
Okay.
This is it. It's pretty simple. It's straightforward. I don't need any information at the moment besides what's on here.
Okay.
I don't need any documentation, passports, credit reports and that. I don't need that now. We'll only
For the
need
pre-approval.
for the pre-approval. We'll only need those documents when we do the formal process with Stacey. Right now, we'll complete this. So this is basic information about yourself. Okay. Marital status.
Does that matter?
Yeah, of course
Okay.
it does. In Portugal, it works like this. If you're married, you do everything together. The only way you could do it separately is if you're married with separation of goods. So like a prenup, what you would call a prenup in the States, where what's yours is yours, what your husband's is your husband's.
Okay.
That's it. You can do that if you've got proof that you're married with a prenup,
Okay.
a separation of goods. In Portugal, that doesn't exist. You're married in community property. Whatever you do, your husband is with you.
Okay.
Okay, so everything is 50-50. If you're married in Portugal, you both have to be on the application. Okay. If you can prove that you're married in separation of goods, you can do it on your own. Okay.
Does it matter if a foreigner is married to a Portuguese?
No.
Or okay, so
Not
that
at
doesn't
all.
matter. Nationality here, banks don't look at that stuff. They just look to see if you're single or married because of what that does financially.
Financially, of
Okay.
course. With nationalities, the good thing about Portuguese banks is they paint everybody with the same brush. So there's not like, oh, you're American, you can only get 50%. You Portuguese, you can get 80%.
Okay.
That doesn't matter. Everybody's equal.
Okay.
Everybody's equal, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
The perception in overseas is that as a foreigner you cannot get a mortgage in Portugal. That's not true. That is it's possible to get a mortgage in Portugal as an American, like you are. You could get a mortgage here in Portugal
Up to 80%.
up to 80%.
Okay.
Same as the guy next door that was born and bred here in Portugal.
Okay.
Okay, so it works for you. Okay, so that page 1, like I said to you, was information about yourself. Page 2 is your income. All right, that would
That's a
be
big one, right?
yeah. Look, that's the banks in Portugal look at your income. All right, they don't look at assets as much.
Okay.
All right, because you could have $1 million in the bank today, and something triggers in your head, and you go spend $1 million. What guarantee has the bank got that you're going to have that $1 million to pay the mortgage?
Okay.
All right. So they want a steady income, constant
Do
income.
they want to see like a work contract, or if you have Social Security? Like, do they want that type of
Yeah.
documentation?
So when you do the formal process, the banks will require pay slips. All right. They require the last 3 months pay slips. They require bank statements. If you got Social Security, a statement of the Social Security, what you get on a monthly basis. All right. That gives them comfort to. And they know, listen, this client is receiving so much a month, all right, he can afford so much for mortgage. Right?
That's in step 2, though, right? All
That's
that
in step
document.
2.
This is just writing your numbers down.
It's writing your numbers down, but that comes into play here as well. Okay. So the banks here in the ideal world will look at your expenditure and income ratio, 35 to 40%. That should not be your 35 to 40% should not exceed your income. In other words, working with easy numbers, if you're earning €1,000, your expenditure should not exceed maximum €400. Okay. When they look at expenditures, they don't need to know how much you spent at a grocery store or how much fuel you put in your car. They want to know your set expenditures: mortgages, car repayments, credit cards, and personal loans.
Okay.
Those 4 is what counts for the banks. Okay. That should not exceed 40% of your income.
Okay.
All right. So again, easy numbers: 1,000 income, 400 expenditures. Simple. Okay. If you fall within that, okay, you should be 100% to get a pre-approval. Okay. Obviously, they will take this mortgage into effect as well. So if currently now you're earning €1,000 and you're spending €200, okay, that's your expenses. In all fairness, your mortgage here should not exceed €200 a month.
Okay.
So that will bring you up to the 400, to the 40%.
Gotcha.
Okay. So then, after you've completed your income, all right, here they ask you your monthly income. So it would be your either payslip or social security, any dividends that you got. Okay. If you're self-employed,
Is it harder or it's just more paperwork?
it's a little bit more paperwork. Okay. When you're self-employed, you're going to need 3 years tax returns. Where if you are employed, your latest tax return should be sufficient.
Okay.
There are occasions where the banks will come back to us and say, can we please have the previous year's tax return? Okay. Then we'll reach out to you and we'll say to you, the bank's requested the previous year's tax return, and you can send it to us. We add it to your file and we present it at the bank again. Okay.
But mostly, if you're not self-employed, then 1 tax return should be
Your
good.
latest-
If you are, it's going to be 3.
If you're self-employed, definitely 3.
3 years.
Definitely 3 years. If you are employed, your latest tax return.
Okay.
I know different countries have different times to settle their tax returns. In the US particularly, you have some in the beginning of the year, some at the end of the year. There's a difference there. But if you can say to us, or you can prove to the bank, my tax returns have to be in by November, but here's last year's tax returns, we can do that. We can do that one.
Okay.
Page 4 is what we spoke about, is the expenses. Okay. So if you've got any existing mortgages, car loans, personal loans, credit card repayments, okay, that all comes down here, and rent. Okay. What happens here? If you are renting, they want to see how much you're paying rent, okay? But that will not be taken into effect when they work out your ratio, your expenditure rate. Because now, imagine you're paying rent now, and you're looking at purchasing a property. That rent is going to disappear.
Go away, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So they want to see how much you pay, all right? But they won't take it into effect, okay? Then the last section here is investment property. So let's just say you got 3 mortgages at the moment, okay? But those mortgages, those properties, you're renting out and you're generating an income. So you got €500 mortgage, but you're generating an income of €750. Okay, so that €500 is offset. So the banks want to see it there, but they won't take it into account again, because you make that income covers that mortgage.
Right.
What they will do is they will take the 750, they'll take the 500 away to cover the mortgage, and that 250 will go in. They will add it into your income.
Okay.
So
it's
that,
a good thing, right?
Of course.
Right.
I mean, if you imagine you got 3 properties and you make generating an income of an extra €500 per property, that's an extra €1,500.
Right. Okay.
So they will take that into effect. Okay. If you are renting out properties again, you at the second stage with Stacey, you will require to present lease agreements.
Okay.
Okay, that is mandatory as well. They need some sort of proof that you are renting out properties and you are generating an
You're making
income.
that money.
Okay.
Now, how long does the pre-approval stage normally take? You fill this out.
So if you fill this out today and you give it to me today, I compile your file and I send it to the banks. All right, so I'll send it to bank 1 first. They'll give me something back. They should give it back to me within a day.
Okay.
Okay. What I do is then I take that and I go to the other banks and I play the banks up against each other.
Gotcha.
Once I've completed them, then I go back to the poor sod that was bank number one, and I say to him, all right, this is what the other banks have given me. They've all betted your rate. Can you make it happen? And that's how I get you the lowest interest rate. Okay.
And how much as a client am I paying you to do this?
We don't charge. We don't charge. So what we do is, we started off with, we do this for our clients. We've now opened it up to everybody. So you can purchase a property with another agency. Obviously, we'd prefer you buying through Ideal Homes.
Yeah.
But you can purchase a property with another agency and you can come to us to get a mortgage. And you still won't be charged. Still not going to be paid. We know out there are mortgage brokers that charge you anything between 750 and 1,200 euros. Okay, that's from start to finish. Okay, now imagine you can save that, and that goes towards your closing costs.
Definitely.
It's an extra 1,000 euros. I think it helps.
It's worth it.
I think it helps.
Okay, so that's step one, the pre-approval. Now let me chat with Stacey about what comes next.
Hi there, so I'm Stacey.
Hi, Stacey.
I deal with the two processes in the mortgage department. So I deal with the formal process and I deal with the closing. So those are the two stages after Joe's stage of the pre-approvals. So the formal stage, so after you've gotten the pre-approval, you know what property you're going to purchase, you've made an offer on the property, then you would come to me. So basically I would request all the documents that the banks would need in order to provide you with a formal approval. So regardless if you're self-employed or if you're employed or if you're a pensioner, the 5 documents that you would definitely need is a NIF number, so that's a Portuguese tax number. You would need your passport, you would need your credit reports, your tax return, and bank statements from the last 3 months. Then if you're employed, I would need pay slips from the last 3 months, and I would need a reference letter from your boss, basically saying that you work on a permanent basis, this is when you started working here, how much you earn a month or a year, and then I need to sign the reference letter. And it's like important that it has the word permanent in it. So I don't want to know that you're like, you know, working part-time, or because mortgages are based on your consistent income coming in every month. So if you're employed. Then if you're self-employed, you would need to provide also a reference letter, which sounds really funny, but you would basically write it yourself, saying also what you do for a living, or you've had this company, or what you earn every month, and you would sign it.
Okay.
And then you would provide 3 years of tax returns if you have a company. And then if you're a pensioner, we would need a formal letter saying what you get basically every month for your pension. Okay. So after I get all of those documents, I would also request that you fill in the bank application forms. So whether you're married or if you're single, if you're single, you would obviously fill the bank forms by yourself. If you're married, you would fill in the bank forms with your partner. And then I would submit everything. So your bank application forms with all those supporting documents. Then after that, after I submit it, I'll let the client know I've submitted everything to this bank and this bank. It's usually the banks we submit to is what you got the pre-approvals at.
Okay.
I mean, some clients will be like, no, I'd rather just get just at this bank, just submit at this bank because I was happy with this pre-approval.
Okay.
Where I always tell the client, sometimes let's at least submit to 2 or 3 just in case.
And get the best one
Yeah,
back.
exactly. Because sometimes I can negotiate with the banks in terms of the spread or the interest rate. And also it's better, we can see which one offered the longest term. For example, we deal with one of the banks, the government-owned bank called Caixa, and they tend to offer like the longest term. They tend to offer the highest financing, which is 80%, like Joe mentioned. And then after I submit it, so I've submitted everything now to the banks, then I will provide you with any feedback. So if the banks come back and say they do need more information, whether it be they want another year's tax return, or whether they've taken a little bit of time to look at your application, maybe they may ask for an updated document, maybe whether it be a payslip or whether it be a bank statement. And then until we get you the approval, okay, so now that's the formal process. Now I've gotten you the approval, okay, from the bank.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can someone be pre-approved and then not get approved by the same bank, or is that unlikely?
Look, it's really unlikely, but it can happen just because the information you've put in that inquiry form that Joe gives to the banks when giving a pre-approval,
it's written.
It's based on that. So if you've now maybe not mentioned a loan or mortgage in that inquiry form, and then when it comes to my stage and we see, oh, but there's
Yeah.
3 mortgages here, but you only told us about one.
Okay.
Of course, you're not going to get the same approval.
Right, so there's no point in
No, you
fudging
can't-
any of the
no, you
numbers or
can't,
anything
no.
on the pre-approval because you have to show all that proof in
Exactly, and
stage
the
2
banks
anyway.
find out everything, so
Yeah.
you can't hide it. It's
Okay.
like literally. So sometimes when that does happen, the clients will be like, "Oh, but we got pre-approved for this," and then I'll go back to Joe and we'll look at the inquiry form, we'll look at the tax returns, we'll look at everything, and we'll pick it up.
Figure out, yeah,
exactly
what the deal is, okay.
So that sometimes happens, but not often. Yeah. So then after that, so we got your approval now. Sorry. So then we go to the closing. So basically. You're happy with the approval, you say, okay, I want to proceed. So you would have to send me an email saying, okay, I want to proceed with this approval from this bank.
And that's step 2.
That's step
approval is
2.
step 2, documents and approval step 2, and now the closing is step 3.
Yes, step
okay.
3 is the closing, yeah.
Okay.
So then, so at step 3, you've sent me in a formal email saying, I would like to proceed with this approval from this bank. Please proceed with opening my bank account.
In written form, it has to be in written form?
Oh no,
or-
it could just be on email.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
literally just forward that email to the bank, but
Okay.
it has to be coming from you. Obviously, I can't just go to the bank on your behalf and say yes, they want to proceed.
They want to do it, yeah, it has to be coming, okay.
Exactly. So, so then I forward that email to the bank. Then they have your email, so they can also contact you like moving forward if they need to. Okay. So then. After that, we'll open your bank account. Usually, if you're not in the country, you would need a POA, so a power of attorney, which most people obviously give their lawyer. And then some banks will request that your lawyer goes to the branch and opens the bank account on your behalf, where other banks may request just for you to, like for me to send the power of attorney to them and they'll open your bank account. Then once your bank account is open, you have to transfer around, I would say like 700, 750 euros, because that kind of covers the some of the bank like commissions, but also most importantly, it pays for your bank evaluation.
Okay.
Okay, so that has to be paid first in order to arrange then the evaluation for the property.
Okay.
Okay, and the evaluation is taken by not even, it's like an external person. It's not from the bank, it's not from us, it's someone external.
Okay.
Okay. So then after you transfer the funds, we arrange the evaluation. While we're arranging the evaluation, I'll find out if you are requested to get life insurance or if you're not.
Okay,
and
so
if-
that might be required.
Yeah, that might
Okay.
be required. Most of the times it is, especially for the people that want like the highest financing, like 80%. But usually if some banks where it's 70%, we can already maybe not get your life insurance.
Okay.
But most of the banks, so anywhere from like definitely from 60 or 50 financing, you won't be requested.
Okay.
Usually when it's 70, 80%, the higher financing amounts, they will request life insurance.
And you get life insurance through the bank or through someone
So
else?
we've actually made a deal with a lot of the banks because the life insurance can sometimes be higher through the bank. So we work with another external life insurance company that the banks will work with, and they will give you obviously like a cheaper life insurance policy that the bank will accept. This is
Okay.
not with all the banks, but some of them will do it.
Okay.
So then we'll put you in contact with this life insurance company, and basically they'll give you a better quote than what was on your approval.
Okay.
Okay, if you're happy with that price, that quote, then after that, you told me you're happy with it, and then we'll only issue it when it's closer to coming to the closing, like when it's nearer to the deeds, will we issue, say to the life insurance, okay, now you can start issuing the life insurance.
Okay.
But also for you, in order for you to get that quote, usually the life insurance company will call you and you'll do an interview just about, your health,
Right.
so they can determine your quotes for your life insurance. Because obviously there's not an average cost for life insurance. It all depends on your health, it depends on your age. There's not an average. 'Cause
Yeah,
a lot of
any
the clients-
pre-existing conditions or
exactly.
anything
and
like
also
that.
depends also the finance amount that you also, you're getting. So there's a lot of the clients come to me, they're like, oh, can't you give me an average cost? I can get you a quote, but I can't give you like, this is usually the price. for
Right,
it.
yeah.
So while we organise an evaluation, we confirm your life insurance. Then the evaluation takes place. And after the evaluation takes place, they send me the evaluation report, and then I send it to you. Then if you're happy and everything's good and it's in order, then after that, we will wait for the final offer letter from the bank. Then you'll sign the final offer letter, and then there's a 7 working days reflection period where we basically everything's on pause. and then we can book the deed.
Okay, so you have to wait that 7 days no matter what.
Yeah, it's mandatory.
Okay,
It's by law. We
it's a
have to
Portuguese
do it.
thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so then two main questions. Ideal Homes, do you guys help, like if I don't have a NIF, do you help with that?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
if I don't have a lawyer for the POA, do you
Yes.
help with all of that
Everything.
stuff?
So
Okay.
we're like a one-stop shop. We literally, we have supply. If we can't help you, we have people that we work with
Okay.
that will help you. So for example, even with the NIF numbers, we'll put you in contact with the lawyers that we work with, and then they can help you get a NIF number. They can also give you the POA to open the bank accounts and to even sign on the day of the deed if you can't come. So we have contacts for all of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then the second question is timetable. So if I've been pre-approved, like Joe was talking about,
Yeah.
and he's gotten the best bank because he's done that work.
Yeah.
So then, okay, now I'm pre-approved, time to get all my documents
Yes.
in. What is a realistic timetable from giving you documents
Yeah,
to
to the actual
step
closing.
3 closing?
So
Done.
I would say like the total process, like from beginning to end, can take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. Joe will argue with me. You can see, he'll say 6 to 7.
Well,
I like,
that's
so
in there, okay.
I usually like to play safe and say a little bit more.
Okay.
Just because the last stage, that all depends on other people. It's like out of our hands. Like it also depends the day that everyone's available for the deed signing. It also depends how long the client takes to provide us with signed documents, or if there's any other updated documents that are requested. So it's a lot of external factors there that we can't control.
Sure.
That might make it a little bit longer. And that's especially now with, I know everyone likes to use COVID as an excuse, but especially now with COVID, it has slightly delayed the applications a bit because there's so many applications now in Portugal because the interest rates are so low. So in the past, we would easily say, 4 to 6 weeks, easily. I like to now say 4 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Just to play safe.
Cover yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
Stacey, thanks so much
Sure.
for explaining steps 2 and 3.
All right, 60 seconds. You got this?
Here we go.
Are you going in the pool?
No, shopping.
Let's go.
The process can be daunting, but if you have the right guidance, then it's not too bad. The first step is pre-approval, and you want to make sure you disclose everything there so you can actually get a mortgage up to 80% and up to the age of 80 if your financials look good. So you want to go ahead and say your income and everything like that if you have mortgages, car loans, all of that stuff. The pre-approval will then happen by the banks being pitted against each other and you find the best offer. The cool thing is Ideal Homes doesn't charge for this. After you get pre-approved, you move on to stage 2, which is where you have to give proof of everything. So you want to show pay stubs, you want to show that you have a permanent work, some income coming in. So all of that stuff needs to go over to the bank. Then when you send that off after the formal part, you get the closing. So some of this is a waiting game. So give yourself several months for this to happen so it's not too stressful. But you might have to get life insurance as well or some additional documents. But after all of that, the bank has it in their hands, then you can get your money.
All right, Maria, what do you think? Did she win? 60 seconds?
I'm going shopping. I'm really looking for Desigual. I went to a few stores, couldn't find anything, which is crazy. I feel like that never happens to me. I always find too much. So now I'm on the hunt for Desigual and I think I'm gonna find something there. I'm really excited because I'm in Desigual and I found some stuff. So now I'm gonna go pay. If you want to know more about Ideal Homes, then check out the description below, and you can also see their YouTube channel right here. If you want to see properties in Portugal, then check this playlist here. Now let's get moving.